Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me as always is Kent.
Hello.
Courtney.
Hi.
Matt.
Hello.
Adam.
Hello.
And the one and only Robert Newman.
Hello. Hey.
Tonight's topic was brought to you by Robert Newman, and it's all about the Gencons.
I was really hoping you were gonna say some type of like sponsorship. Like I don't know, like hair plugs for men, or broken meeples or something. I thought that was a good tease.
Well, Adam's bragging about how much he gets paid to be on this podcast. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that is a Nigerian prince that's talking to you, not me. Somebody must have hacked my email, because we broke up in here. But yeah, good stuff, guys. We are, what is it, like 1 week away from Gencon? And there's a ton of new games coming out, so we want to talk about that. But there's also a bunch of news and a bunch of games we've been playing. So I guess we should probably go ahead and jump into all the things.
Let's do the stuff.
Let me actually make sure this scene looks well. Cool. So the first one here is Spiel des Jahres. Ken, you want to take this away?
Yeah, sure. So the winner announced recently for the Spiel des Jahres, not too long ago. But the winner of the Spiel was Dorf Romantic. It is the co-op tiling game from Pegasus Spiel, where it's based off a video game, and you're building. It's kind of supposed to be relaxing. You're building out this little village, and then as you play the game, you unlock new modules and new stuff. And then they just announced also a spin-off of it for Dorf Romantic Duel, which typically, I guess, when Spiel games win, they get new content, they get reprints, they get supported. So that's cool to hear about that. I've never played it. It's one I wouldn't mind trying, but it seems kind of relaxing and chill. And then the Kinderspiel, Roy, you'd be happy to hear about.
Roy's favorite game. Man.
Oh,
Roy's
trust
favorite
me.
game.
You
Challengers
think you can hurt
won
me?
for
Everyone on the
Kinderspiel.
internet has already messaged me about this.
Yeah, I know. Which is surprising. I think a lot of people are surprised. I'd say the weight of this game is would definitely fit in the regular Spiel category.
Right.
But it's Kinderspiel, and I'm not going to complain. I enjoy the game. It's fun.
I think it is
it's just
a
kind of
bit
chaotic.
fiddly overall, so maybe that's why they put it in that category. I mean, I'm gonna not like this on the game, and I understand that my taste has never been the same as like the Spiel. Basically,
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, forever, me and Rob would always be like, the Spiel, okay, fine. Like, we'd rather see other awards that what they do are gonna align with our taste more. But I understand why that group might like this game. Like, if you want a game that's like a sport simulation sort of thing, where it's just like an activity you do, and it can play. I mean, it plays with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
For me, I don't like it at all. It's probably one of my lowest rated games over the last year. I gave this game a 2. But it's mostly just because I like games where you make decisions and you actually get to interact with the game. But I could see people wanting to do this as just like a casual thing to just go through the activity of doing it, And if you're really big into sports, it's like, hey, look at my sports team sort of thing,
Yeah, it definitely has that, like, you're cheering for your team even though you don't have any control over it and all that kind of stuff.
It's like fantasy football or something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I feel like I have to try this now just because of Roy's drama. He's who?
Get a group of I'd say play it with at least 4 and just give it a try.
Roy is challenging Johannes Krenner to a boxing match actually instead.
Or wait till the next version comes out and get that one because it's got special player powers.
I mean, I'll take that boxing match. That's fine.
I heard Johannes is yoked. I don't know for who that is, but that's one of the designers. That's the first.
Yeah.
He's yoked.
Yeah, he's yoked. Yeah. He eats the creatine powder right out of the spoon. Just.
I better start training then.
No mixer.
What can I do? He's just like that.
And then the last one for the Kinderspiel is the kids game is Mysterium Kids. Has anyone played that one? Have you played that one with your kids?
I haven't played it. I heard that it's more of an activity with like drumming. Like I think Chris and Wendy played it, and they said it was more like a music lesson than like an actual like thing. But you're like,
oh wow,
trying
okay.
to beat on the drum to get somebody to guess a thing. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Okay. Is it almost sounds like a little bit like Concept in some ways, like where you're trying to like get them to guess something, but using weird. I don't know. It's one I wouldn't mind trying with the kids, but I haven't heard a lot about it besides what you just said. So
we play a lot of Mysterium at my house, so I would probably get it. But my kids are at an age where like we mostly play Mysterium Park, the that one, and we do the typical thing I think a lot of people do with Mysterium, whereas we kind of throw a little bit of the scoring out, and we're just essentially trying to see how far on the path we can get before we run out every time. So we kind of play it the same way we play like Medium or something like that. We kind of throw a little bit of the mechanics out. The kids it's like a cool seance to play it in the room, turn the lights off, act like you're a ghost. Oh.
I think this one's for a lot younger audience too. I'm not sure the age range, but I think it's like, I want to guess like 5 or 6 is probably the target.
I heard it was extremely different than regular Mysterium, so.
All right.
Well, the next news here is Call of Cthulhu Horror on the Orient Express, the board game. That is a crazy looking train.
For sure.
I'm actually really stoked on this, kind of depending on I guess what it sort of ends up being mechanically. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a RPG in a box type thing, which would make sense because it's Chaosium. I am a sucker for Cthulhu stuff, so bring it on. Like I like Call of Cthulhu as an RPG.
Yeah.
And I like usually the theme of this stuff, and Chaosium usually has cool art and cool stuff. I don't know much about it. I read a little bit, but I don't know if you know more than I do.
I know a little bit. What caught my attention, it's the designer of Nemesis and the designer of Destinies. One of them from Destinies and Nemesis. So it's probably going to have a lot of cool thematic stuff going on there. I don't know how big and overwrought this game could be, but it seems like it could be probably fairly story-driven, and it's at least going to create a story for you when you're playing it. You're probably going to remember what happened on this crazy train ride. So you're trying to like stop a ritual there's cultists on the train and stuff. And then you're trying to either I think if your train either blows up and dies, you obviously lose, but you're trying to make sure the train reaches the destination and the cultists don't summon whatever they're summoning. But it's coming to Kickstarter next year, so this is a fairly early announcement. It's supposed to come out in 2025. So you got a while to wait for this one.
That's interesting. There's several scenarios. There's a scenario in Arkham Horror, the card game, and a scenario in Mansions of Madness that are very much like this theme, like Cthulhu baddies on a train. And I wonder how much of that vibe this is going to have, being from the Call of Cthulhu thing.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I mean, I've liked those sort of scenarios, so I wonder how a game built specifically around that will work.
I mean, just in general... Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just commenting. The game looks gorgeous, and it was going to make my list because they had it on the announcements for Gencon.
Oh, wow.
But it, again, was announced at release date of 2025, so that's why I didn't make my list. The game is gorgeous, and I was thinking of Mansions of Madness. It's funny that you said that, Roy, because I know like they have the scenario with the boat and like the airship and train and stuff. But the artwork alone, like I love how the steam light on the train is actually an eye. You know, if you really look at it, I think it's going to kill it. I think it's going to blow it out of the park. My only concern, and I want to blame Kent and Courtney for this, but mostly Kent.
Yeah, definitely.
Is because it has one of the designers from Nemesis. Is it going to be super chunky to the point where it's like, man, I'd really rather not bring it out. It'd be better as a PC game type of thing. That's my only hesitancy is like, crap, is this just going to be too much? Like, am I going to be shamed because I got a couple of rules wrong and now I just feel dirty about myself? And so let's just play the PC game. So that's my only concern. But outside of that, the game looks gorgeous. I love Adam's idea he shared with us a couple months ago where he takes box art and he puts it up as like posters in his basement, and he makes like wall decor. You know, if you got rid of all the other stuff and you just had the picture, that'd be a really funky, really cool wall decor piece. It's beautiful art.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I don't know if I don't know that Chaosium has a lot in the way of board games. I know they've done them, but like even gosh, like I know like Sandy Peterson worked at Chaosium. I don't know that he still does. And is Cthulhu Wars? I don't think their Chaosium has anything to do with Cthulhu Wars, do they?
No, I think that's like Sandy Peterson, right?
Yeah, that's just Sandy Peterson Games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Peterson
I don't know.
Games, yeah.
It feels like if y'all have ever had the chance, I know this is one of those games I throw out there that we should run one night and play together. But like Call of Cthulhu, like the books are so well, like the campaign books and stuff. When you play the game, are so well realized. They have such good, rich backstory. They're like kind of those RPG books where you read them and it's like, man, even if I never play this, it was really fun to read this scenario. So it just gives me hope that the game will have like a lot of detail in it, as long as it's playable. To Rob's point, like if it turns out to be Mansions of Madness first edition, I think most people's
attention.
Don't be
dissing too much on it because Rob loves Mansions of Madness first edition.
I loved it too. But once second edition came out, you're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
No, it definitely got better. Second edition is better, but I liked taking the pre-test for Mansions of Madness first edition. That's one of the ones. That's actually one of the games that got me into more than just Risk board gaming. I remember I went to the Batcave, which was a stupid comic store that also sold board games, and I went like on a Thursday night. These guys were playing this game, and they're like, "Hey man, we need another. Do you want to play?" I jumped in and I was hooked. Love Mansions of Madness. I just remember trying to set up Nemesis. I love the idea of Nemesis. I love the idea of wanting to make Nemesis work. But man, Nemesis is like one of those heavy games where, unfortunately, at least I feel this way, if you mess a rule up, it could really jeopardize the entirety of the game. So you need to be like a stickler for the rules. I'm really not, but I don't like. I like when other people will be a stickler for the rules, right? Like, but I want to have a good experience. I want to love Nemesis. I want to love all the stuff that goes with it, because there is a lot. But it's one of those things where it's like a finely tuned machine, and I just now it has me contemplating, should I just sell my Nemesis stuff now? Just because, like, well, crap, I don't want to play this if my friends don't want to play it. If we'd rather just play the computer game, then why in the heck am I even keeping this game? And if we have this game, which looks amazing, but it also looks like if the game is half complex as the artwork, it's going to be a lot to chew on, right? And so it's just like, do I want to spend all of this time and all of this money on something in theory I'll love? Because in theory I love Nemesis. I think it's a great game. I love the stress, but now all Nemesis brings me is not so much stress in the game, but stress in like, well, crap, now I don't want to mess this up for anybody else, and I just rather not play. I just rather not. So I don't know.
I feel like
I got a little bit of Kent PTSD going on right now, so I
Uh-oh. Don't
I'm glad
we
you
all?
took me out of that.
Don't we all?
Yeah, Courtney had nothing to do. Courtney is a saint.
I don't know about that, but
she is a free thinker. Like Courtney, when you meet Courtney and Kent, she should come with those disclaimers like all the interviews in this movie do not represent, Paramount Pictures, blah, blah, blah. Like she should say anything Kent says does not necessarily represent Courtney Parker.
Next game is Vampire Mulan Uprising. Oh, this is the Taboo.
This is the one.
Game.
You want to talk about this one, Rob?
Okay, I will. I didn't
No?
look at the game too much, but I do know a bit about Taboo because I played back in the day. Taboo used to be with Simon, and they were doing a game for Zombicide, and they had like voice acting in the app, and it was like an interesting game where you would target stuff. They couldn't make it work, I guess, together, so Taboo kind of split off and started doing their own stuff, and they made a game called Bad Karmas, which we did a video for on the Dice Tower, and it was an interesting game, like kind of like a boss battler where there's a boss and you're all working together to go like attack the boss and stuff like that. And there was like a lot of app stuff and just a teeny bit of stuff on the board as you're like, you move your character here and then it moves the boss there. But there was a lot of stuff of like you had to make sure the figure was on there just right, and the dice you had to make sure they were charged and all that stuff, because it's kind of cool because it would know when you rolled dice. But I felt like the implementation of the Zombicide thing that I played was way more fun than the Bad Karmas game. But the technology behind this is super interesting, where you have a board that recognizes the pieces on it, and dice that know what you rolled. But yeah, I always get worried with tech stuff of like how well it's actually going to work in the final product. But yeah, this is a vampire game in that.
Do you know if the stuff that comes with this game works with other games in their system, or is it just this game only? Are you know?
I'm really not sure. I would have to like look at the game. Let me actually click on the game found here and go to this page. Let me go. Okay, actually, let me open it up in a different browser. And then game found. So
I want this to work so bad because this is the pill that I would take for the Kent killer PTSD.
This is what Nemesis needs right here.
Ooh. It does. Well, because what's also great about it is it says no rule book. Like the game teaches you, it does all the stuff for you.
And this uses a D10 as well for their little die that knows what you're rolling. Smart D10 die.
Which I love it. The idea, a cool vampire game. I'm a fan. So I like the concept of that, but I'm hesitant. There was a game. It was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago where you had like these golems and you were doing like this battle against. You needed an iPad. Yeah, you needed this iPad to play it, but it whenever you put a piece down, you could move it on your board, but it also moved on the iPad. It looked good, but at the time it was still like quirky and chunky. And in the tech world, 7 years ago, it was like, oh, it's so old. So I get that, but I really want this to work. And I remember Roy and Matt and I were, we've talked in the past about the zombie side version of this, of the board, and I was excited for that. So I'm hesitant. I'm watching it. I've liked the Game Found project, so I'm getting all the updates and stuff like that. I'm hoping to see some videos soon. They might have them up. I just haven't checked them out yet. Of some people demoing it and seeing how it works and how it all plays out. But I think the idea of the co-op board game where you're trying to get your house up in order to be vampires, I think it's a cool thing. I think the artwork is cool. The miniatures, they did a good job on the miniatures and whatnot. So it has my interest. I think this could possibly, if they found a way, and I hate AI, but if they found a way to integrate this with AI, I think this could be the future of board gaming.
It's interesting. I like the fact that most app games use like one tablet or one iPad and it syncs. These games that they've done, even the Bad Karma game, you have like a central iPad, but then everybody else uses their smartphone and then has their own like player dashboard on their smartphone, which adds like interesting elements to the game of like each player kind of like using their but then it's a double-edged sword because like then every time you want somebody to play this game, you're like, hey, can you download the app on your phone for us to play this game? And you have to like talk people into that. But when you do it, I know with the zombie side one, it was so cool because you could trade items in between players. It'd be like, oh, trade to this person. It would like fly onto their screen and dashboard and stuff like that. And with just like the interaction in between the phones, like this technology is super cool as long as you can get all the phones to work together and connect to the iPad and all of that stuff. I do know like behind the scenes with the Dice Tower thing, there was a bit of a work getting everything just working for that Bad Karma game. So, but they probably ironed out a lot of the kinks because we were playing a early version and all that stuff in beta and all that stuff. So I'm hoping it works out good for them.
Yeah, that's my fear is technology always seems to malfunction around me. So like, I mean, Kent says it's user error, but I don't know.
No. Technology just does whatever it wants.
So like the T-Brew thing in this, it goes like the pad goes under the board, or it's.
I think
the pad normally goes under the board, and they were gonna have it where you could switch out the boards, but yeah, I don't know if they're. I didn't pay that close of attention to what
it looks. So you can order
like an
one of the ones.
Kit, like if you have the other game, like you can just get like the 10-sided die and this works with it or something. I don't know.
So you can order the game without the Taboo system. So I think it's like a system. Once you have the system, you can buy the other Taboo games that work. All right,
that's cool.
I think. But the Bad Karmas was like a different company, and I don't know if they rebranded or whatever too. I'm not sure.
Oh really? I thought
I was
they
trying
were
to see if they
got
Bad Karmas delivered yet, because that was also a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if that's not delivered.
Yeah,
I was curious. I couldn't really tell.
Because it's not cheap. I mean, you're looking at it's like 200 euros just for the I think is it for the game with the board? I missed it. Yeah, it's like
to know if the Kickstarter's delivered, all you have to do is search for them and then go to the comments. And
I looked.
Know.
I mean, I see some updates, but I haven't seen anything where it says like shipping or anything. I was trying to find out.
Yeah.
Have you ever like looked up one of those really old Kickstarters and then clicked on the comments that like a Kickstarter that never delivered after like years and years, and you just see the vitriol? You know? It's like, oh goodness. Like what is it? Go click on what is it? The little rubber band game. See the anger. Rob's like, don't bring that up. Hey, I'm there with you. I backed it.
Rob,
I'll click and check on that about every other month. I do. And I honestly, I know it's kind of weird, but it makes me feel better. Some people like I'm upset, but it wasn't that much money, which I don't want to lose any money. Period. I'm not in a position in my life where I can just give away X amount of money. But yeah, some people are really upset, and they're diving and digging deep into these people's lives. So,
what about your Hell the Last Saga?
I'm not so mad about that. The whole world like shut down. Yeah. You know, COVID happened. It's a lot more than just that. That Rubber Banditos game or the Goblin game, that was more the person rather than the state of the world at the time and manufacturing and a bunch of other stuff. I don't think Mythic Games went into it with malintent. I just think it didn't work out. They made maybe some bad risks or some bad calls, and it ended up costing them. And now it looks like they're losing their company, which I feel bad about that. But I've talked to the others. We talked about it last night. I was able to get something out of nothing with them. They gave me some credit for their store, and I ordered one of their older games. So they're trying, and I like Time of Legends. This other guy, he just straight up stole. And then he tried to run for a local office and paid for plumbing and had an affair and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, you go in the comments, you'll see a bunch of things.
The story unfolds.
This is Joe Exotic. He was Joe Exotic.
There you go.
I think he did try to buy like 3 baby tiger cubs.
Hey, you might not get your game, but at least I'm buying exotic animals with the money.
Yeah.
So.
No game, but you want to get a picture with a Bengal tiger?
What game offers you that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
The next game here is Firefighters on Duty. This is a Spiel release. It is a real-time cooperative game from the creators of Project Elite, which is extremely exciting. You should type more things that I can read. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I don't. There's not a whole lot out about it, but it sounds like you're kind of managing more like firefighters in a city, kind of thing. And if it's anything, and it sounds like Project Elite, there's these frantic I don't think it might be 2 or 3 minute phases where you're just rolling dice like mad. You're trying to lock dice and do various things, so it's gonna you do all that stuff real crazy fast, and then you look up and everyone's like, how did you figure out what you needed to do? Did you fix the thing? Did you kill the monsters? I think it's kind of like that. It's from the same designers, like you said, so it's a cool theme, and it kind of makes sense for this kind of game, I feel like, because saving somebody from a fire, putting out a fire is kind of time sensitive, so thematically I think it works, and it's kind of cool. And there's not a ton. I mean, there's some firefighter kind of style games, but I wouldn't say it's like a super hot well, pun intended, I guess, theme there. But it just seems kind of cool.
Project Elite?
What's that?
Like, Rob, have you played Project Elite?
You played it with me, I think, at Recon.
Did I?
Yeah. Remember my terrible paint job on the original version?
Yeah, I didn't play that with you.
Oh, you didn't play that? Oh, okay.
No, sir, because your painting was so bad, I was like, I can't play this.
It was terrible.
The CMON version of that game is amazing.
Yeah,
it's like one of my favorite games. Like, it's so good. Because Rob, you like
was it in the top 10 video that you just did your top 10 video games of all time?
Yeah, Camilla has it in there. Yeah.
Lauren, is her name Lauren?
Camilla. Yeah, she has it in there. Yeah, it's one of her favorite games. I played it. I talked to Ruthie. Ruthie loved it, and like it's been a lot of fun. And if you like things like Escape the Curse of the Temple and stuff like that, this is like Escape the Curse of the Temple, but with guns where you're blasting away aliens as fast as you can. It's really fun. So this Firefighters on Duty will be really cool if you're firefighters going in trying to blast away fire as fast as you can. That sounds pretty cool too.
Yeah, it does.
Wild.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I like real-time dice rolling, so bring it on.
I like the theme. Like, what was the last good firefighter game?
Probably Flashpoint,
Fire
maybe.
Rescue.
Yeah.
What was that other one that came out that
There's one called Hot Shot.
Hot Shots. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, Flashpoint's pretty solid.
Like
but how old is that game though?
It's dated too. It's a little bit dated. It's got a million expansions.
Well, we need a good firefighter. Bring out that red and yellow. Come on, let's put out some fires. Come on out.
Yeah, I'm here for this. I think it's a cool theme. It's also a fun theme because like, I think sometimes with games like that, like if it's like it feels like a combat game, I think that turns some people off from wanting to try it too. They're like, I'm not going to be good at killing a bunch of aliens. But if you're like, we're putting out a fire together, even if the mechanics are kind of like just in line, there's certain people that'll attract more. And for a co-op game, count me in. I definitely will keep my eye on this. I like Project Elite a lot, so.
The next game is the expansion for War of the Ring: Kings of Middle Earth. Man, this expansion has been a long time coming. Like I wonder if we talked about this on the podcast beforehand, because this game,
it's possible.
This expansion has been teased for like years and years and years.
I think it was at least 3 years ago that they announced it.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, it's supposed to add like the kings, and you can have those guys. They'll probably give you more dice and things like that. I love War of the Ring, but most of the time when I play War of the Ring, it's such a big, grandiose game that I don't add in the expansions much. And lately, since everybody that I play with has the collector's edition, which doesn't work with the expansions, I can't even do that. And honestly, everybody bragging about the collector's edition, it's not all that. It's fine. I'll take the regular edition, But it's just got
original
painted.
good.
It's just like okayly painted miniatures. It's like cool. But
isn't the box like massive?
It's a gigantic
too?
wooden box, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's super big.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm definitely interested in this. This is one thing that's like I have all the other expansions. I will definitely buy this 100%.
Yeah.
And hey,
you go in Board Game Geek and you see so many people listed as a 10. They're like must have. If there's so many fans of this game out there, it's just they're begging for more stuff. I feel like.
Have they released a date for when this expansion comes out?
Well, I don't think so. But this is I think this might be the first time it's actually out in the wild at Gen Con. Like people can actually see it and
I'll definitely
try
check
it out. So that's why it was kind of
War of the Ring.
Cool
the board game is my number 2 board game. So I would love to get this and actually have a reason to play with expansions.
We could talk after the show about your top 10 list. I was a little disappointed in a couple games, surprised in the placement of a couple of others. I watched that list.
What do you mean?
This is one of the off tech issues.
We're gonna watch this beef later.
Yeah, sorry. Great list.
My list is it's very similar to how it was last year. So.
Cosmic Encounter is not ahead. Cosmic Encounter is not ahead of some of the games. That's it. I won't get upset. I'm not that passionate.
I really like Cosmic Encounter. I don't think you realize how much I like Cosmic Encounter. I like Cosmic Encounter.
I realize now, and I'm disappointed. I thought I knew you. I thought I knew you.
I have fun with that game. Negotiation is fun.
I'm gonna mute myself again. I can't talk right now. I just need to calm down.
But yeah, that is our news. I guess we'll go into the games we've been playing. Adam's been playing awesome games.
Yeah.
What's the game you played, Adam?
Oh yeah, I have been playing awesome games.
I just like this game that you're about to talk about.
We talked about this a little bit yesterday when we had our false start with technology, but I like Pandemic a lot. I have a history with Pandemic games, I guess. I think this might be my favorite Pandemic game at this point. It's awesome. Really good. It plays really smooth. It's Clone Wars, a Pandemic game, and it's I don't know, man. It's that familiarity of Pandemic where it's like I don't have to learn a whole bunch of new systems, although it is fresh. It's a little bit different, so a little different take on it. I can sit down and play a cooperative game, and it's a cool theme that I really like. It's got fun Star Wars miniatures. It's got fun Star Wars locations. It's got fun Star Wars cards in it for some special, like the crew cards. You get like a little companion. You can I think Princess Leia comes out and you can like burn the card to get extra turns and stuff. I don't know. It's just it's fun that Pandemic like when they started to do like this and the World of Warcraft I haven't played yet, but I'm gonna get now because of how much
the same vibe as this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that like is this going to turn into kind of a Monopoly thing where it's like they're just going to start throwing Pandemic system onto things. But no, it's really good. It's fresh. It's still a full Pandemic game. You can turn up the difficulty. Like we played it on the second difficulty. I played it this week with my son and his friends, and like it was tough. We eked out a win probably with 1.5 turns to spare, 2 turns to spare. It's just solid fun, and I'm really excited. I kind of hope they keep doing it. I'm going to pick up the Lich King one now for sure.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of fun with it too.
Yeah, like
I'm at a place right now where my favorite Pandemic games have nothing to do with diseases. They're Reign of Cthulhu and Clone Wars now. So you definitely should give it a check out if you get it. I know sometimes it's at Target, so you can pick it up in retail pretty much anywhere at this point. And it's a fun game, super fun.
I never hear anybody talking about this game, and like it is like super good. Like it's so solid. Like I knew that I wanted to try it. I knew that my coworkers said it was good. So when I had Chuck and Ryan down, this was one of the games we put off the shelf, and I had never I didn't watch videos, I didn't watch anything. I just learned it from the rule book because I knew Pandemic, and this is significantly different than Pandemic. I mean, it has bad guys. It has all the little droids that just keep popping up all over the board. But like the disease would be spreading. But other than that, like the way that you like fight off like the villain and the way that you actually fight off those cubes is very different. You know, you're actually making combat rolls with dice in this game. So there's a lot of differences. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's
the health system is really cool. Your your hand management, when you take damage, is discarding cards. You'll then have to waste action resources to heal. It's very
you can get
smart.
cards that help you defend and things like that as well.
Yep.
The thing that feels most Pandemic is that the bad guys are coming out on the board. That feels like diseases, and then you stack that deck like you normally do in Pandemic. But everything seems like way easier than like not easier as far as complexity, but just like easier to jump into and play. Like
the management of the game once you do 1 or 2 rounds is like that. Like I had kids who had never played any Pandemic game playing it. This is like 15-year-olds were playing it, and they were loving it.
It's cool to have all those different Star Wars characters with different powers, and then to have all those different Star Wars villains that you can play against. It adds a lot of replayability to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dang, this is one that I don't have a copy of, but like,
big recommends, man. I think
I would get a copy.
I'm gonna play it 3 or 4 more times. I'm actually taking it. I was telling everyone before we got on, I got to drive my mom down to Dayton. I'm going to go to my brother's house. My brother and my sister-in-law are big gamers. I'm going to take it with me because I think they'll really enjoy it. Once I get a few more plays under my belt, I don't know. I think it feels like it could be like a very high co-op referral game for me. Like if people are like, oh, I want to play a co-op. Like right now, I feel like I would say grab that because you can get it in retail anywhere, and it's really good. And the weight of it is like it's right there. You know what I mean? It's very understandable, but it's not shallow. You know, which is what Pandemic was always good at. To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, Matt's game is also really cool.
It is, really
man.
cool.
All right, so let me go ahead and spoil this for you. And the Wombat is not a ton of rules, right? It's already a pretty rules-light game. But over the past week, we've been babysitting my girlfriend's niece, who is almost 2. And so she's been like, I want to do stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, do you want to play a game? And she was like, game. I was like, okay, here we go. Yeah, I've got games. We can figure something out. So we started with Rhino Hero. Not great. But then we tried Hand to Hand Wombat. She doesn't have the rules down, but really good job at stacking towers. So we just played a really loose game of put cubes on spires.
Yes! Bro, I love everything you just said. That is so awesome.
You know what? I call this the game that lets me hold hands with Dustin. So if I can have that once a year, we're playing it again. All right? That's right, Dustin. I hope you're listening.
It was great. It was hilarious. I pulled it out, and the little girl, her name's Nora. She was just playing with stuff, doing things, and I was like, yeah, it's a good time. And my girlfriend goes, how do you even play this game? She's like, it just looks like the old like little Tykes toy. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, except for you just kind of do it like blindfolded, and somebody's trying to punch you basically the entire and that's it.
I played this game for the first time at Dice Tower East. I knew it was fun. I played it with I had seen good reviews of it, and so I set it up and played with me, my son Scott, who is 10, my daughter Violet, who is turning 9 tomorrow, which is cool, and then Emma, who is Ruthie's oldest, my daughter. She is 7, so we all played, and it was just a blast. It was just so much fun. Playing through this, and I set up my camera to record, and we played with the actual trader, and like we're playing the game, and like you're sitting there like counting the sides of the pip, like, oh, where's the 2, where's the 4, and we're trying to flip everything over and do all this stuff, and like and I went, like, I was helping the kids build one tower, or I was helping like my daughter Violet build one tower, and then Emma was having issues with this tower over here, so like I was like, oh, let me help you over here, Emma, like you've got this backwards and this is wrong, and I went back to this tower and it was wrecked. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, there's a piece in here wrong, and I know it was right when we left. I was like, why did you do that? She's like, no, I don't know what was going on. And like, I fixed it, and we made it in time. And then I replayed the video, and I could just see Violet like, picking up a thing, turning it upside down, and putting it back on. And I don't know, it made me happy. I don't know. Just the moment of betrayal.
Yeah.
I knew what it felt like. That the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess. But no, it was a lot of fun.
Shadows over Camelot.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like causing chaos in that game. Whether I'm good or bad doesn't matter. It's just fun. Spin the bottom of the box. Just do all sorts of crazy stuff.
That was the first 10 seconds of the first game we ever played.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's when the Joker version of Kent Parker comes out for a game like that. It's just...
All right, Kent's game.
All right. So we played Aqua Garden, which is it's a game about you're trying to collect fish for your aquarium. Each one players build their own aquarium, and we played it with a Beachcombing expansion. It's basically an expansion where you're like going and collecting seashells and picking up trash on the beach and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a I don't know the exact mechanism, but it's kind of like it's one of those games where you go forward on a path and you select some stuff, and then whoever's in the furthest back goes and takes turns until they're like caught up to everybody else. And you're doing that to collect fish for your aquarium. It's kind of Rondell, collecting fish for your aquarium. And when you're you have like this one worker in your little aquarium board that moves around, and it determines where you're allowed to put the fish, and you're trying to kind of like you have to place the fish in a way that makes sense. Like you can't put small fish with sharks, and you can't put sea turtles with sharks. And certain animals have to have coral with them. Certain animals have to have seaweed with them. And it's just kind of a little puzzle, and you're trying to just make a really cool aquarium. And the pieces are like a little wooden screen printed fish, and they look incredible. They look so good. And then there's you can add in these advanced fish you can use that are basically like special fish for each game. And they are like, you can have, like, we had stingrays. There's so many different ones you can put in there.
There's one that's this cute little baby, like this, what's not a baby, a little sea otter holding a little clamshell.
It's just like any cute little ocean animal you can think of, or any kind of ocean creature you can think of, is probably a card in there with like little wooden pieces.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the meeples on this thing are amazing.
Yeah, they're so well done. Like you can see, it looks like once you're done, you have this nice little aquarium in front of you, and it's so satisfying filling those tanks. And it's actually, and the other thing about the tanks is each tank has like a capacity basically for the animals, which is based on how much oxygen is in the tank. So you have to like carefully plan how you put your fish out there, and it's pretty much based on how your little worker guy moves around. And you've got to those 2 tanks on the far right of your board are like your tanks like you put on shows with. They're called your event tanks. And they generate you money if you have them set up properly to like, so people, each aquarium's got a specialty. Like the card on the picture is like, if you have clownfish and sea turtles, you'll get extra money and stuff. So you're kind of managing money. You're kind of just trying to get the animals before somebody else gets the animals. And then the beach board is you're just adding like seashells and all this stuff. You're trying to find kind of collecting sets, collecting trash, which is like an area majority kind of thing at the end of the game. Whoever collects the most trash gets points. Whoever didn't collect the most trash loses points, or collects the least trash, I should say. But just a lot of fun. It's fairly lightweight and it plays pretty quick. I'd say it's probably like an hour, maybe an hour and a half at most. But it's really cute and it's really fun and easy, I'd say. But it's definitely got some meat to it as far as strategy goes. And it looks incredible. So that is Aqua Garden.
Rob's game here is what does this say? Day Job Simulator or?
No, it's so funny. These last few weeks I've just been slammed with work, and it was like, crap, I need to play a game tonight, and I need to do something quick. And here's a small game for sale. Sure, I sell houses, or I try to at least. Let's play this game. And so we sat down, read the rules, and my wife won on a rule contention thing that we had something going on, but my wife and my daughters ended up loving it. It's For Sale is a bidding game where you are bidding on property at first, and the property, there's just numbered cards between 1 and 30, and everybody starts off with like 14 $1,000 tokens and two $2,000 tokens. So everybody starts off, well, at least on our player game, you start off with $18,000, and you're trying to bid to be able to buy these properties. And then round 2 of the game is you take the card the numbers that you bid, and then you use those to be able to sell them to get money. So it's basically it's an open bid where you have to outbid somebody. You can't tie. You have to exceed the previous bid. And then the second half of the game is a blind bid where you then take your properties, you put them face down, and then you all reveal at the same time. And it goes from highest to lowest, whoever gets the most. It's real quick, real simple. It was a lot of fun. In fact, my wife and my oldest daughter, they were talking about it earlier today, wanting to play it again. They really like For Sale. And so it was something that I needed to play for the show because, again, with work, I've just been slammed, so I haven't played anything. But I'm so glad I pulled it out. It is an older game, but it fits the theme of my life. It fits the theme of what's going on. And it was quick, it was fast, and my kids and my family love it. And so For Sale, if you're looking for, I think it plays anywhere from 2 to 4. Might be more than 4.
I think it's 6. 5 or 6.
But yeah, if you want to play a quick, fun, fast game, I would check out For Sale.
That's awesome.
Goes to 6.
Yeah, I played this a really long time ago, but I don't remember super well like how the game works. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I know it's always been very highly regarded. My game here is a game that I thought the group here would actually really enjoy, and that's why I put it on my list. And this is Beaver Creek.
It looks incredible.
It is a dexterity game where you have the box lid or the box bottom you flip upside down, and you basically have like this little stand that you're using to build beavers and logs on to make a beaver dam. So each turn, everybody has a certain number of logs. I think you have like maybe 5 like large logs and like 5 like small logs, or maybe that's dependent on player count, how many logs everybody has. And then you have the dice, and you're going to be rolling these. You're going to start out with a couple of just the little beaver meeples on the dam, and there's little spaces you can actually set them out, kind of like Rhino Hero Super Battle. Like you have these starting spots almost for the walls. You have little starting spots for little beaver meeples. You put those out, a couple of them out, randomly at the beginning of the game, and then you roll the dice, and you take turns rolling the dice. And one die has basically the amount of beavers and logs that you have to place. So it can be anywhere from you have to place 3 beavers, or you have to place 2 logs and 2 beavers, or you have to place 1 log and 1 beaver. And the goal of the game is to get rid of all of your logs. If you get rid of all of your logs, then you win. But then also there's a second die, which is basically like the like penalty die. And basically every time you roll it, it'll have a different way that you have to place stuff. Whether it be placing, like you have to build with your offhand, or you have to use just like 2 fingers like scissors to be able to place whatever you're doing. Or or maybe you have to every time you place a log, it has to touch the last log that was placed. And when you're placing logs, it has to be at least touching one beaver whenever you place it. But you can have like part of the log like touching another log, but then still touching a beaver. Sometimes you'll roll a thing where when you place your logs this turn, it can only touch beavers. So you can't make it touch another log. So you get all these weird situations of like, oh no, I rolled this crazy thing, like, and I have to place all these logs in weird ways that make it hard. If you topple it over, this is another interesting thing about this. A lot of these games, things topple over and you lose. If you topple and fall things over, anything that falls off the box edge is out of the game. And then everybody else, other than you, gets to discard one of their logs out of their pile. So basically, instead of it making it harder for you to complete the game, it makes it easier for everybody else to win the game. So it's a game that like has a definite end time, because if like animal upon animal, you just take the animals that fall down, that sort of thing. This is like, it's going to end, and it's going to be a quick game, because if people keep messing up the thing, it's going to force somebody to win the game. But yeah, I had a blast with this. I don't know. I enjoy stacking games. I mean, we've had a blast with Rhino Hero so much. We've had a blast with Go Cuckoo. I still like playing Animal Upon Animal with my kids. I just enjoy that sort of stuff. Like, the dexterity of it is just fun. And this is just like a solid one. I think it's going to be at Gencon as well, but just one that's just like super simple and super easy to play, and it's really quick. Yeah, that is Beaver Creek.
I'm looking at some of these.
It looks great.
I'm looking at some of these stacks on Board Game Geek, and they are impressive. Its presentation is amazing.
Yeah, I really want this now that I'm looking at the pictures too.
if it's like a reasonable price at Gen Con, I might just pick up a copy. Tom, for some reason, said it might not go into the Dice Tower library. If I see it sitting on our like to get rid of shelf, I might also steal it. But if not, I might actually just buy a copy. So, but yeah, it was fun times.
Oh man,
looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
The next game here is Courtney's game.
Yeah, so we played Animated, which is a Disney-themed co-op by Prospero Hall. I think the box comes with 5 different Disney movies that you can choose from to play as, and basically what you're trying to do is create a scene from that movie that you pick before in like a certain amount of time, certain amount of rounds. And then you use the villain. So each person, so we played 2-player games. So I was Aladdin. I picked the Aladdin movie, and Kent picked I think
101 Dalmatians.
And so you had the 2 villains from those. So it was Jafar and Cruella. And
yeah,
I was saying
Cruella.
Yeah. And so it kind of has this kind of Arc Nova style action selection where you're choosing an action from a row. And then depending on where it is in that line of actions, that tells you kind of how strong the action is. So if it's like further down, maybe get to do like 4 points of action for that action. And then once you do the action, you put it in the front. So it's like a 1-point action. So it kind of behooves you to choose different actions at different times, not just keep doing the same action over and over again. And so you're trying to build your backgrounds to these scenes, and then you use paint to put the characters on. And so while you're trying to do this, the villains kind of take their turns after you take your turns, and they're kind of taking parts away or things that you need to build the scene. And one of the things I really liked about it was there's a kind of different difficulty modes that you could do: easy, kind of medium, or hard. So, if you felt like it was too easy, you could make it harder if you wanted to do that. But I'm a huge fan of Disney themed games, or just Disney in general. So I think they could do a lot with expansions with this. Obviously there's tons of Disney movies, and there was only 5 in the box. So I'm hoping they're going to do some more movies, but the art's, fun. And I thought the game was really, really fun. Kent and I were talking, we played Stranger Things, and then we played this game, and theme probably helped a little bit. I'm not that big on Stranger Things, but I liked this game a whole lot more than I liked the Stranger Things game. It was just a whole lot less frustrating with some of the upkeep and stuff that you had to do compared to the other one. And there's more things you could do to mitigate like the bad turns, or the things that the villain was going to do to kind of help keep that at bay. So that was fun. I like this one a lot.
And each of those movies are different, so they kind of have little special powers that
that's cool.
Feel a little bit different. So it's like, and their powers are like conditional for how they get their victory condition, or so it's it feels a little bit different for whichever movie you're picking.
I've heard good things about it, so that's pretty cool.
It looks really nice as well. You kind of have me sold. I feel like my daughter would play this. As long as what's the weight of it? I mean, it looks pretty
easy.
Light. Yeah,
it's pretty light. Yeah.
I would say medium light, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize like Funko was like the publisher there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they're hoping mass market, so I think that's why they tried to keep it somewhat simple, so that way,
but
anybody could pick it up. The productions are like awesome.
It's really good. For what it is, for the price point, it's really good.
Yeah, for a $34 game, right? I mean, shoot.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And like I said, I know they've done a ton of expansions with like Villainous and stuff like that, so I'm hoping they're going to do more with this. I mean, they could really do any IP. Star Wars, like...
Villainous is Ravensburger?
I think it's Ravensburger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But just in general, like Disney's willing to let people, use it if it's successful. So that's
I mean, Funko's got a ton of stuff.
Villainous has like a huge box full of stuff at this point, right? I mean,
there's so many.
I've played it, I don't own it, but it's like a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this would be one that I think Ruthie would really like to play. So maybe at like the Dice Tower Retreat or something like that. This would be really fun to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty quick too. Yeah.
Yeah. Not hard to learn either.
Well, I guess we can get into our topic of the week, which is Gencon. I think did everybody made like lists of their games they're excited for, or did everybody make a top 5?
I got a couple.
Okay, just a couple.
We got a few.
Yeah, we are pretty tight on time too, so we can also I guess just share a few of our top picks. Who would like to start? How about you, Matt, since you have a couple?
All right. Also, I'll start with wait. I know nothing about this, but it's in the list.
Just be excited. That's all you need to be.
Galactic Cruise.
Nice.
Is just, it was announced. I don't know if they're going to give out any more information because it's got a release date of 2024. But it's in the Gen Con release information. I don't know, that big 500 board game list. But I love the artwork on the box, and the game is literally just build and launch shuttles to send guests on luxurious space vacations. Sounds great. It's 10 out of 10. It's like super cool golden age rocket art, almost like Alien Frontiers.
It's Ian O'Toole.
Yeah. And I love that style of artwork. And it's just like, if this is just going to be tile layer where I'm just building a rocket ship where it's like, and this is the zero gravity spot. It's like, yeah, this is great. 10 out of 10. So that's my first one.
I say it took me the entire time you were talking to finally get to the page.
Tell us more about it.
That's the other thing that sucks is like there's next to no information about it. Like there's just the cover
boards look really cool.
Probably just
a
preview. I'm sure they're just previewing it, right?
Dual layer boards. I'm going through everybody's pictures on Board Game Geek.
Yeah, it does look cool. It looks really cool.
Tool is so good.
Yeah. It's hard to resist anything he does, I feel like.
Yep.
So good.
Rob, what's one of your picks for Gen Con?
Man, I'm disappointed now from what I learned last night because now it's coming out as a Kickstarter. But my number one game is Charcuterie, the board game.
Wow.
We love charcuterie. We eat it like once a month for dinner. We'll just, with the girls, we'll just set up some stuff. We'll put on a movie, and so we'll do a charcuterie board. And then I was looking through the list of the BGG list. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a charcuterie board game. I was like, this is a game I don't even have to ask permission to buy, but I still asked permission to buy. And at first, she's rolling her eyes, but then I'm like, no, babe, look at this, and you can do this. And it comes with these pieces, and I was showing her pictures last night in bed, and she was just like, Robert, just remember we still have to, pay other things. And I'm like, I know, but just look where the little cheeses. Look at the little cheeses. So I'm really excited. Charcuterie, the board game. You take turns drafting delectable food tiles and arranging them on your board, but carefully consider your placements as you will be judged on your final presentation. Score points for your arrangement and for meeting social criteria that evaluate your display into a real crowd pleaser. I love it. I love the presentation. I hope it looks. I hope it turns out better than what it already looks, but it already looks good because I think some of the pictures they have up on BGG are prototype pictures. It's supposed to be coming Kickstarter. I put it as my number one because on BGG it also said release of 2023, which I've come to learn last night, and I hope we're wrong, but I've come to learn last night that the release is the Kickstarter release, not the actual game.
Oh,
so I was kind of bummed about that. But I will be backing this one on Kickstarter. The game does look fantastic and just looks fun. And with my family, I'm getting Marlo more and more into these games of like, okay, like let's build a little strategy, let's do things like this. And it doesn't sound as this doesn't sound as a bad word, but it's not. It doesn't sound as nerdy to her, as complex to her, and it's a theme she already likes. So she'll play it without realizing that this is strategy. Because if I tell her let's play a strategy game, she won't play. But if I say let's play charcuterie, right, she'll want to play that. And there's a lot of strategy to that. Just like in the for sale game that we played, knocking people out on blocking them on bids and stuff like that. So I'm just having to rearrange my verbiage when I talk to my family about board games because certain words are trigger words. But anyway, charcuterie, my number one pick. Sorry, that was really long. I apologize.
BGG is going crazy slow for me.
Yeah, I had the same thing for me too.
Huh. Well, BGG might not want to work for us. We might just have to talk about the games as opposed to show them off. But I got this one to come up. My number one is the War of the Ring card game expansion, Against the Shadow. This is basically an expansion that makes the game either solo or co-op. And I love cooperative games. And recently, this normally wouldn't be even like an expansion, okay? But I really enjoyed the Ashes Red Rains expansion and how that made that game solo and co-op. So I'm really interested in trying this out just because War of the Ring, the card game, made it all the way up to like my number 11. Like I really enjoyed that game. And I mean, the Lord of the Rings IP is just like huge for me. So I really am stoked to see how this comes together. Stephen Bonacore has been like begging me. He's like, come up and play this game with me and all this, and like come over to my house. I'm like, I have like I'm not retired. Like I have a day job and a family and kids. But I would love to play this game with you. But yeah, just got to find the time to do it. But yeah, I really enjoy War of the Ring, the card game. I'm definitely excited to check this out. If this isn't expensive there, like I might try to pick it up. Well, I don't have the base game. Never mind.
Just get them both.
Yeah. I don't want to like buy it and then like not have the base game because it's in the Dice Tower library. Maybe we'll see. Who knows?
I'm really waiting for you to play this to tell me if I should turn around and buy both, because I feel like having the co-op option is what's going to make me buy the
I really enjoyed it at 4. I really enjoyed it at 2. It is a long game. I have no clue how long this co-op is going to be. So
yeah.
We'll see. Maybe they'll have different modes. Like the base game, they have like the regular modes, which are really long, but then they introduced some like faster modes. So maybe this will have some modes that are really quick to play. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have the option.
All right, Kent, what are you excited about coming out of Gen Con?
I mostly only looked at games that were being released, but I would say none of them I'm like running to the booth for, except for Last Light. But I already backed to Summit running. But anyway, but I would say that's probably the hottest of the hot. But besides that, I'm kind of interested in this game, Three Ring Circus. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it, but it's like a Euro game, but it looks really nice. It's got nice production. It's got some really nice artwork, and it looks like some card tableau kind of stuff going on, a little bit of area control stuff going on. And this designer, the Fabio Lupiano, there's another designer too, but he makes some pretty solid Euro games. I've not loved every single one of them, but I'm interested in what he kind of does, some outside the box thinking with his games. So I would say that one's probably the one that I'm most interested in, just because I don't know a whole lot about it. It's from Devere also, which Devere has been doing a pretty good job with what they've put out lately. So it's one I definitely would like to check out. So I'd say Three Ring Circus maybe is my top pick if I'm just trying to figure out what I like. I just want to check it out.
What about you, Adam?
All right, I do want to comment that Three Ring Circus has table presence, and even if I bought that game and only set it up and looked at it, I would be really happy.
It does.
That
it looks
kind
good.
of a game for me. It looks really awesome. But yeah,
it's got a lot of for a Euro game. It's got a lot of colors. It's very bright.
Yeah. It looks like a Euro game we could trick Robin playing. So so honorable mention for me. The game I think I'm the most excited about that's going to be available at Gen Con is Wild Tiled West.
Yeah.
That I love a tile laying game. Everything about it, and it's Direwolf Games. It's Paul Denon, so it's got that Clank, like kind of that's the most recent kind of combo pedigree for it, which I'm a huge fan of Clank. I think Clank's kind of fantastic. It has a lot of staying power in my collection. This thing just looks so cool. You got like this kind of and I haven't really read the rule book. I did download it with the intention to, but I didn't. But you have like the tile drafting is like these inset boards that I think can be configured differently depending on how you're playing it, and then the tiles kind of seem to move along, like the little kind of the indents, that are in the drafting area, and then everyone's got their own tableau to build their little Wild West town, and then even stuff like the income tracker is like the gold mine, and it moves along that track, and just the whole thing. It looks really, really cool. It seems like just a kind of a fresh take on we're sharing a tile drafting space, but then we're building our own little Wild West outpost. I don't know. I'm stoked on it. It's like feels like a definite hit for me personally.
I really should try this because I've seen them play it in the studio several times, and I can't get a feel of whether or not I'd really actually like it or not. I'm not normally like super big on like those games that are polyomino and fit them into the shapes and do all that stuff. But like Paul Denton hasn't missed for me, like Clank and Dune Imperium are like amazing games. And I mean, I would love to try this just because like it looks cool. Like the production looks really nice on it too, So Direwolf is such a cool company, so I want to try it out.
Yeah, it looks really dope. I mean, for me, like it's got like that vibe where it's like it feels like there's probably gonna be a lot of different like paths to victory. Again, I have no excuse. I really should go read the book, but there's like set collection and tracks to move up and things like that. Like there's a little different bits and bobbles around it.
It feels roll and write-ish to me, which is not normally my favorite, but it's not a roll and write. It's a collect these tiles and put it on your board and write. You don't write.
Yeah, which admittedly might be the thing that's appealing to it for me is like if it is a little bit like a roll and write where it's like as I fill these in, I then get to track up these different things over on the side, which is something I really enjoy. So
I do really think that is what it is. Yeah,
that's Planet Unknown too.
Yeah, count me. Yeah,
that's definitely yeah. Looks good.
All right, and then we have Courtney. Got to save the best for last.
Well, nobody else has, so I'm gonna mention two. So, I told Kent the only one I would probably run to the booth for is World Wonders, which we did play at Dice Tower East.
Nice.
And I really, really liked it. But I know they're only gonna have a few copies of it. We're not going, but if we were going, that I would run to the booth for that because I don't know when it's coming out for like retail, and Arcane Wonder seems to take a while. So sometimes when they release their games. So, but that's the one I've played. The one I was looking forward to that I haven't played was the new Avatar: The Last Airbender game, which is a co-op. And I love that show, and I would love for them to have like a great board game. So I'm really interested in that one. I like co-op. So
is that Funko too?
It's Funko Prosper
yeah.
Hall, just like animated.
Yeah.
So Funko's kind of hit or miss a little bit for us, I think. So I'm hoping it's good. I'm really hoping it's good.
It's funny. This was on my list as well, like that I put out, and I very much said the same thing. As like, I really just want it to be good. I'm not sure if it's gonna be good, but I really love Avatar, and it looks like it's got like storybookish things.
Yeah.
Which Rob is gonna be like, no storybooks, but
I think you can do a campaign or you can just do it as one-off.
Sounds like you could.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah, from a theme standpoint, it's hard not to root for that game.
Yeah.
So Matt, what was your second pick?
Man, probably my second pick. It's gonna seem really odd. Wandering Towers. by Capstone.
Oh, yeah, that was on my short list, too.
It's a
really
not
weird
light-looking kind of... It almost reminds me of, like, Trouble. But, like, a little bit more.
That's what Kent said.
I was like, it reminds me of a more complicated Sorry, or, like, any of those games where you're trying to... Like a Spinderella, like where you're trying to race your pieces to the end.
Yeah, you're just moving your pieces around a board, but it's like now all of a sudden you're getting wizard towers involved and casting spells at each other and stuff, and it's like, okay, I've the byline got me, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, and you can kind of be a little mean, so we were thinking our oldest son would probably love it, because you can like trap people and keep them from.
It's a light for Capstone game. It looks pretty light, which is not a bad thing. And it's Kramer and Kiesling, which is like, they're amazing designers. For years and years, they've been designing all sorts of cool games. So it's definitely one we want to check out too.
It's awesome. I forgot the order that we.
Sounds really good.
I forgot the order that we did it before. I guess Rob next.
Well, I like Aggravation, which is sort of like Trouble, the old version Trouble. So Wandering Towers. I'm gonna have to add that to my list. My number 2. Sticking with food, Donut Shop. I'm really excited for Donut Shop. Donut Shop, you'll be taking turns placing donut tiles in the display case, earning points based on how many donuts of the same type are connected. Players then have the opportunity to box groupings of donuts in the display case in order to fulfill customer requests from order cards and earn extra money. Again, I can trick my family into playing games if it looks cool. And we also love donuts, so I really think I can get my family to play this game. I like the mechanics. I like the components. I think it has a cool presence, and so this is one that I would try to get for my family. I don't know if I'd play it with you guys, because I think I'd want to play a meatier game. Well, the game I'm surprised nobody said yet is there's a game I thought somebody would mention that they haven't mentioned yet, but regardless, I have a whole list. I made a whole list. I've got like 10 games and stuff I've put down. But anyway, my number 2, Donut Shop. I won't run. I'll roll to the booth.
Whoa!
I don't remember what my number 2 is. I see it on here. My number 2 was Freelancers, which is a game from Plaid Hat Games.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Forgotten Waters. Like, I thought it was just great. I love that they had voice acting for all of the Crossroads events and things that happened. And it just, like, draws you into that world. It's a great cooperative game. And Freelancers looks like it's very much in that vein. But it has more of, like, a D&D, like, post-apocalyptic theme to it. And it, like, really feels like Adventure Time to me. Like, just the art and everything just looks like you're playing an Adventure Time style game. And I'm stoked to check this out and see how the mechanics are different and like how things work. I know this is by Donald Schultz, which we had on the podcast forever ago. The one edited podcast, or the one bleeped out podcast we had to have from the Board with Life crew. But that was such a fun episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember some of the things that were said. Hilarious. But yeah, those guys are great, and it's been cool. I know he worked with Funimation in voice acting, so he's able to have all these connections with all these cool voice actors, and he's kind of brought that over to Plaid Hat with Forgotten Waters, and now with his own game, Freelancers. It's just going to be really cool to see what he's doing, just because I'm a fan of Plaid Hat. I have been for like forever, and I'm stoked to see this new game coming out.
Yeah, same. I'm right there with you. Crossroads stuff is super cool. Big Plaid Hat fan. Big Plaid Hat as an independent fan. So.
Forgotten Waters is great. I'd love to check out this one too.
Yeah, Freelancers was on my short list. It looks incredible.
I didn't write it down, but I forgot about it. But I just added it to things I'm going to waste money on. It's not a waste. It'll be fun.
All right, Kent.
So I feel like this other one is very similar to what I just said about the first one. It looks great. I don't know much about it. It's a Euro game. It's Barcelona. It's a very colorful Euro game, kind of like the other one. The cover is incredible, but all I know about it is you're placing these pieces down on the board, and it's got this weird looking grid system that, like, wherever you place it, where your pieces intersect, it's going to be what actions you get to do. So it looks like a lot going on with probably Mini Path to Victory, and it's from Board and Dice. They do a lot of pretty good heavier Euro games. They're not all. I don't like all of them, but I've liked quite a few of them. So it's one I'd just like to try out, and just because it looks so good, the presentation is just it looks like a lot, but it looks nice. So Barcelona will be the next one I would look into.
Won't get Rob to play that one.
Yeah, probably not.
But
at least look at the cover. Rob, look at the cover. It looks great.
Maybe Three Ring Circus, but not Barcelona.
Hold on. I've played Brass Birmingham. It's complex, and I played it multiple times, and I've enjoyed it every time I've played it.
It's a good one.
I'll play a good, and it wasn't wine, it was beer. So maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll play a good Euro. I like Terra Mystica. Actually, that was one of the ones I was going to mention, the Age of Innovation. Mm-hmm. I'd pick that up. I'm surprised that, I don't know, it's weird. I'm discovering a new side of myself, and I just don't feel about me yet. But,
I saw those the pictures of the boards from Barcelona. I'm like, I don't know, Rob.
It looks like a lot. Yeah.
It didn't look that bad. I actually looked at it, because I lived in Spain for a while. Barcelona. Anyway, I looked at it. I would only play it though with you guys. Like, I'm not gonna buy it. Mm-hmm. Like, hey man, I got this game, and we're playing it like at a recon. I'd play.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Adam, what's your next game on the list?
Whew. Forgive me. Woo, big yawn there.
I know. I don't think we're gonna do 5. I think two might be our limit.
2 seems fine because these are the 2 I'm most excited about, kind of by far. Everything else is just a bunch of other tile laying games. I've picked all these tile laying games. I realized I must love tile more than I thought, but not this one. Queen by Midnight.
Yeah.
I think looks really awesome. First of all, table presence. It looks so nice. It's got the big clock tower, dice tower in the center of it. The tableaus are all beefy looking. It like on the table, it's got like what do you call it? Like Dice Throne. I like Dice Throne, like the Marvel one is my favorite. It's got a little bit of that vibe with the big tableaus that like have the power-ups, but I think you're more bringing cards into the side. I don't know a ton about it, honestly. It looks like each character is going to have like kind of some utilities and like some special abilities, and you got your health track, and it just but it's not a duel. Like Dice Throne is set up to really be a 2-player game. It looks like it is intentionally set up for, I would assume, 4 players. I didn't really.
Yeah, that was the one drawback for us, was that you have to have it's a minimum of 3.
Yeah. But it's deck building, it says, which we usually are all over that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it looks super cool. It just looks super, super cool. I don't. It's hard not to root for Darrington Press stuff a little bit right now, just because like they're kind of going up against Hasbro and other areas at the moment. They're kind of going, haha. So I'm like, I'll give them some money. Although I'm sure they're just another giant corporation. But I don't know. If you're gonna make games that look like this, I mean, just go look at the art. All of like these princesses, you're kind of like battling to see who would be queen, I assume, by midnight. The art on all of them just looks, at least the ones that have been shown, it looks like just kind of a little bit of a mix between kind of gothic horror and superheroes kind of a vibe. So you got that kind of, that like fairy tales with a punch thing. I want it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to put it on the table and stare at it. And you're right. I'll need a third person to play it. I can't just rely on my son. But I'll find somebody. It'll happen.
All right, Courtney, what's your last pick?
I guess I'm gonna go with Emerge. I don't really know much about it, but it looked really cool. It's by Pandasaurus, and it's got dice rolling and worker placement, which I feel like you can't really go wrong with that. But like I said, I don't really know much about it. It just looks neat.
Yeah, it's very much a game about like you have your different, like everybody's trying to build up different islands, and you all have different islands that are different colors, and you're building them up and trying to make sure you have the right species on it. But it looked really cool with like the different creatures you put on your board is like kind of like different engine building aspects, and you have to like put the creatures under the right numbers to be able to trigger things. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I know there's a lot of in-game scoring of like, oh, I have these creatures on my island, and my island's built up to this level. You're basically trying to make different ecosystems on the different islands that are coming up, that you're emerging from the depths. You know, it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. feel like Pandasaurus has like a predictable weight and kind of scoring to a lot of their games like that too, which means like you're probably like you kind of know like you with you saying that makes me feel like you sort of know what to expect as far as the complexity and what you're keeping track of. Like they're all pretty, at least the ones I played, but they're good. I don't mean that as a bad thing. Pandasaurus is good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's our games. I do want to mention that there's one game that someone here might have done something.
What is it?
Coming out.
Rob's game?
Yeah, Rob's
Bro,
game.
first of all, last night.
Here's the thing.
That's
We
be
did the unforgivable sin. I remember back on the podcast, Rob getting so mad about Blood Rage being at Gencon before people got it. And I'm like, dang it. Now I'm here in the seat where it's my publisher's doing
but
the
I
same
like
thing.
you a lot more than I like Kuman.
I've noticed that too. It's like our game found, like, there's a few naysayers or whatever, but everybody on there has been like, do your thing, make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
And they've all been like super stoked about the communication that Gray Fox has given. And I think, this is, I guess, not off the record since we're live, but like I have like behind the scenes pushed Gray Fox to like, hey, we need to communicate. There was a span of time where I'm like, hey, we haven't made any posts. Like, go make posts. Like, they're like, oh, we don't have anything to say. I'm like, make it up. Like, just say something. Just tell people what's going on.
Say something.
And I'm like,
there'll be free ice cream.
I was like, give me some production pictures. Like, we need like videos of stuff. And like, I don't think Gray Fox normally did that sort of stuff. Like pulling, like asking. I was like, just ask the manufacturer to like do some videos or something. And Shane's like, oh, well, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, well, try, you know, because it'd be really cool. People are going to want to see them pulling the plastic molds of ships and like putting the planets in there. Like, I get stoked. I know that the backers are going to be excited just to be like, oh, look, things are happening. You know, my game is coming. Like, it's not out in the ethos or whatever. And so they've been doing, Lance has been doing a huge, like, great job of like communication, like of everything, you know, and being like, hey guys, we're gonna have a Gen Con, but hey, we're sending stuff out to reviewers at the same time. You're gonna start seeing videos, and I'm sure soon they're gonna be posting like the reviewers that we send it out to. They sent it to Dan King like first, and then they asked me who to send it to because Tom didn't have time with the production schedule. I mean, they were gonna send it to the Dice Tower, so I don't even get to see a copy of the game. But we sent it to Ruel, who was like a big fan of it, and he works with Rado's show. He also has his own show. Also, he's big friends with like Becca Scott and all those people, and I know that he really loves like 4X style games. So to him, we also sent it to Alex. So there's probably going to be like 3 reviews soon, like before Gen Con. I'm really excited about those videos. And then I'm really excited for people to hopefully make an informed decision on whether or not they want to get the game and play it, you know? So
no, just buy it. If you're listening to this, don't make an informed decision. You listen to me right now.
Listen
Blood,
to
sweat,
what
tears,
has to
passion.
say.
Buy it. Just buy it.
No. You don't whisper. You better bring that back up.
That's right. Buy it. You can skip Starbucks for 3 months. Buy Last Light.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, they're air shipping in the palette of it, but even a palette is still like, it's only like 100-something games and like like less than that expansions. So like they're having to like ration it to like maybe around 25 games each day. So it'll probably be
I texted you separately. I told you before the show yesterday, I was like, look, man, if I hadn't pre-ordered it, it'd be number 1 on my list. I only included games on my list that I haven't pre-ordered or don't have coming in. Yeah. Last Light is phenomenal, Roy. You created a 4X game that can play up to 8 people in under 2 hours. And not only did you do it, but it's a good game. And the board, I can't remember the game.
Table presents.
Got me excited as Last Light. Like, bro, you have a phenomenal, freaking awesome game coming out, man. You're that dude, bro. Like, you did it. We all would have said Last Light. You know, it's. I mean, I know several of us would have. Kent probably wouldn't have. Kent would have stayed.
He's the only one who did say Last Light. He's the only one who did say it.
Yeah, but he only said that though. He said.
I've seen his rating on Board Game Geek. It's ridiculous.
Well, I need to go write something on it.
I include games I've already backed or purchased or already played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that either. So that's why it wasn't on my list. But
I'm really excited to see a production copy because, like, I haven't played with a production copy. I haven't seen one in person. And the first time I even saw it at all, I had to talk Dan King into sending me pictures of it. He's like, "Oh man, here, I'll take some pictures," you know. So like he sent me some pictures of like the components and stuff like that. I mean, he's got his video up now, so you can see him pretty good.
I bet you Emerson has a copy of Halloween right now sitting in his lap.
Oh, Emerson always complained to me that he like never gets copies of his own games until he does, because he then complained to me about they sent him a palette of every single language version of Century, so he had like a bajillion, like a whole palette of different language centuries. He's like, I don't necessarily need that in my contract, you know. I don't need every single version of the game.
Is Halloween going to be at Gen Con?
I think it is, yeah. So
it was on the list, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, was it? Oh man.
Yeah.
That was the one.
It's going to be a Gen Con for sale.
That was my.
It says for sale, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
Man, because that was one of those where they're not shipping it till like September, October. Because when we talked about it on the show, when he stole my idea, I pre-ordered.
It's true.
It was
This is Rob's game.
Listen, I know we're still live, but like none of my actual coworkers are in my room. I'm pretty sure Mike Austin, who's rooming with me, he's a pretty cool guy. So I can be like, "Yo, how many Epic Gaming Night people wanted to fit in my Gen Con room?" You know?
Hey, I speaking of Gen Con rooms, what do we have? 8 guys in our room one time? Or I know we definitely had 6. Didn't we have more than 6? I slept with Brandon Pleshik. I'll never forget that. Beautiful experience. 2 other guys shared the other bed. You were on the cot. Matt was on a cot. Hector came.
Hector was there, yeah.
Bro, we had other people. Like, that was a crazy Gen Con. I will shack up. I don't care.
I never had a problem with that. Tom's always like, "Oh, we have to like make sure everybody's comfortable." I'm like, I've slept on plenty of floors during Gen Con, you know.
I'm not going there to sleep. I'm going there to have fun, hang out, eat crazy food, play games, you know, till dark 30.
Why spend a bunch of money on rooms when you could spend all of your money on one cocktail from St. Elmo's? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right.
Or 2 copies of Last Light. If you're listening.
You're only getting 2 copies, Adam? Wow, that's cheap. That's really cheap.
I am kind of worried that if you got 2 copies and then wait like a little bit, you might be able to sell that second copy for the price of both. Because the deluxe edition might be hard to get.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be.
But I also was looking at Game Nerds, and they have the pre-order for the basic version of the game for like $60. And I'm like, what if you can get like, because what I had at East is like kind of like the retail version, you know. It's just got the cardboard chips instead of stuff, and like all the stuff is cardboard instead. But like it's still it's the exact same game, it's the exact same stuff, you know. So it's like if you can get the whole game for $60, that's cool.
The retail miniature market version,
it still has all the 3D planets.
$54.99. Miniature market $54.99.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Man, I should cancel my order then and buy several of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're gonna be way. I mean, yeah.
No, I went all in, man. I'm excited. In fact, it's funny.
When you see the resource tokens, you won't say that because the resource tokens that we came out with are ridiculous.
I've got a client of mine. We're closing on a property soon. I can't disclose too much information. He's a huge TI4 fan.
Oh, wow.
I played at his house a bunch of times. Matt's met him. Really nice guy. Anyway, I like to get my clients gifts. One of the gifts I got him was the neoprene mat for TI4 because we always play like on stuff. But anyway, I'm still talking to him. I'm like, "Hey man, you just wait till my buddy's game comes out." I said, "You like TI4 now, but we play this one guy named Brian. Brian's not a bad guy, but his AP is so bad. Like I want to punch Brian. Like Brian,
he's not a bad guy, but violence will befall him."
It's when it's not your turn. Like, come on, like pay attention. Don't like shut up. You're a nice guy. Thank you for playing. But anyway.
I hope that's not his real name.
No, the other guy, not my client. My client's name, I won't name him. My client is
I know, but you're naming the other guy?
No, the other guy's name really is Brian. If he's listening, Brian, I like you. I really do. But please, like, move your turns along. Please. Anyway, I'm talking to them. I'm like, "Bro, you guys are going to love Last Light." I said, "You guys are going to love Last Light. This is going to blow your mind because it's got what you like about TI4, but under 2 hours. It's going to blow your mind." So I'm excited because I've been telling all these people, especially clients of mine that play board games, because now what I'm going to do is in the future, I'm going to buy them copies of your games to give them as presents. How awesome is that? Like, oh, you're buying a house, you get Last Light.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It'll definitely be crazy to see how things go, like how things go down. Dan King was telling me, he's like, I think they're gonna need security at the Gray Fox booth, or like at least like crowd control, you know.
Spike strips.
Bro, forget that. The Dice Tower booth. Like, there's gonna be. I'll just go ahead and say it. There's gonna be a little bit of envy. Everyone like, oh, where's Roy? Where's Roy? Tom's here. No, forget Tom. Where's Roy? I need my copy signed. I want my copy signed. Yeah.
It's
no,
funny,
we got Z here. No, I'd push them out of the way.
It's funny. During when they were doing this preview on the Dice Tower, I was like, yeah, you can like buy your copy of Last Light or see if they at least have it in stock currently, and then just walk up to the Dice Tower booth because it's right up the same aisle. And Mike was like, yeah, come up to the Dice Tower booth. Me and Z and Camilla and Tom will all sign it for you. I'm like, that's hilarious. I'm like, please make them do that. So.
Oh God.
But yeah.
Did I have Plaid Hat do that one time when I ordered Summoner Wars, like their edition? I had like the entire office, like even their secretary. I got like 9 signatures on my Summoner Wars game, and only it's fun, but I'm definitely getting your signature.
I played a game, or I walked up on a game of Last Light that was being played at East, and I didn't teach this game at all. I hadn't talked to these people at all, and they were like finishing up a game, and they're like, oh man, like you're the designer, like holy crap, like we play Twilight Imperium, or we used to play Twilight Imperium like once a month, and like this is gonna replace that, you know. I'm like, holy crap, you know. It's like people that like know that sort of game like really well. And then even Ruel like was saying on a thing, he's like, Twilight Imperium is my favorite game, but playing 8-hour games might be done. I'm like, did you just say what I think you just said? I was like, I mean, I love Twilight Imperium, and I was talking to Josh. I was like, it makes me kind of sad a little bit because like I love that game and it's so hard to get to the table, you know, and I don't want to make something that hinders getting that to the table for people. And he's like, well, people will still play Twilight Imperium once a year, but they'll play Last Light every single day. Like, I was like, I gotta steal that.
So. I think somebody mentioned yesterday on the call, and this, I think Adam actually talked about this the other day on the call, or one of the things we're really excited about Gray Fox, and it might have been while we were talking to you, I can't remember, but Gray Fox loves an IP, they will drive that IP. Hence, Champions, you got Reavers, you got the Reavers card game and stuff coming out. How exciting, and can you, since we're having a special interview with the designer of the hottest game at Gencon, can you divulge the future of Last Light? Like, is there going to be a Last Light card game? Is there a Last Light, like, new expansion? Or is there more in the Last Light universe? Is it not the Last Light? Is there, like, a little bit?
It's so funny. Like, I'm on this side. You know, remember when I used to get mad at Rob for trying to, like, grill people, and now I'm the person being grilled? Just like, I thought it did for the designer.
He's just like, hey, can you reveal all that stuff about the NDA you signed? Just tell me. Just
say it.
No. I haven't signed it.
Just me and you.
Like, they want me to work on an expansion for the... Well, I have worked on expansion for the game, which they, behind the scenes, keep cannibalizing to add in as promos and stuff, but it's fine. But other than that, like, they said, like, even when they, like, were first, like, signing the game, they're like, this is going to be the next, like, Midgard for us or whatever. We want to do that stuff. But I don't have anything in the works, or I don't think we have anything in the works currently.
Sure.
So the dexterity.
I guess I probably should be, because they would probably sign it, you know, real quick. But, you know, I've been doing other things. But yeah.
When Last Light, the dexterity
the card game, the dice game.
Yeah, and Dan was funny, like messaging me about the game. It was kind of crazy. He's like spazzing out, which is kind of cool. So, yeah.
I'm only getting messages. Are you here? We'll wait 5 more minutes. Are you here? Are you here? Are you on? Skype calls, and
I didn't message you at all. I wasn't stressed.
It was just me.
Awesome, guys. Well, I guess we can call this a show. I guess Rob's going to berate me about my top 10 behind the scenes or something like that. Unless you want to do that publicly, Rob.
I won't do it publicly. And I won't berate you. I was kind of shocked by some of your choices. I was disappointed in a couple. Some that dropped really low on the list.
Sad about Summoner Wars being so high?
Yeah, I was like, why is Summoner and Cosmic Encounter?
You don't like Summoner Wars that being that high?
Not a top 10 of all time. Like,
I love Summoner Wars. The reason is like I played so much Summoner Wars. Have you played Second Edition at all?
I can't say that I have.
I love Second Edition. I've been like that's the thing. Is like I played this game over and over again. It's fun. It's a blast.
I feel like Roy has talked about Summoner Wars a lot over the years. I'm 90% sure I bought that game because of him at one point, the old one.
Yeah, I love Summoner Wars. It's always been in like my top 20. I just moved it up because I played it so much. So yeah.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
That's why
it's gonna get
top
worse.
10 and not yours, Rob.
It's
what?
Get worse.
What'd she say?
I said that's why it's his top 10 and not yours.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm gonna defend my friend Roy, Rob. You leave him alone right there, Rob.
Oh, I can take it.
Listen. You just mind your own business. We all have our own opinions.
My friendship with Rob was born on the back of him like yelling at me, so I got it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week, we all give a top 10 list, and Rob tells us what's wrong with it.
That would actually be pretty funny.
You know what?
That would be a delight.
I'm down. I'm down if y'all are. Probably needs to be top 5 or 3. It'll take
top 5.
3 hours.
We have so many people. Oh no, guys. Well, thanks everybody. You guys are all amazing, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.